Watch Johnny's Bite. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
You know, I've watched you sometimes.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Hasbanallahu wa ni'ma wakil. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Johnny's Bite. It's Monday, and May is on wheels. It's running so fast. Well, this morning, I've very deep pain in my heart because I learned yesterday that one of our colleagues, Nitete Ablo, is going to be with the Lord. May he rest in peace and may his family be comforted. But I also am reminded of the fact that it's been 3 weeks and more running that the school feeding caterers have been on strike. And the government has not had the sense of urgency to call them back to deal with the issues rapidly and speedily so they can go back to feeding the children. The argument has always been made that the children are in school because of the food and that they are being kept in school because their nutrition needs to be managed for them to be able to grab what is being taught them. The argument has been made about the numbers of schools that are being fed. The argument has been made about the access and reach and spread that because of the school feeding program, we're getting in the educational sector. But nobody has come to speak. Nobody has taken any drastic action, at least that we know of, to ensure that these poor children, these blameless children, these helpless children who depend on the food that is served for school feeding actually have food to eat. When your children are hungry after 66 years of independence and you cannot find food to feed them, and you don't have a sense of urgency to determine whether they should go back, and like Otiko Jaba said, we need to wake up and serve the people better. These are the children. These are the future. And we have not been able to, for more than 3 weeks, everybody is playing an egotistic game. From the gender ministry, to the education ministry, to the finance ministry, to the national security meeting. The security, ministry. Everybody is playing an egotistic game. The children this morning are watching you. The children who would have gone to school today and not have gone to the farm because they know that there will be sure food in school will now go back to the farm. So one step forward, 15 steps backwards. That's what we're doing. So this morning I came to remind you that when this matter came up, and we remember what happened in the Ashanti region. When this matter came up, we pretended as if, it's just a passing cloud. But the reality is there. There are some of the caterers who are deciding that they will feed the children anyway. Damn the consequences, even though the money has not come. But there are those who genuinely have bought things on credit that they can't pay. And they are being embarrassed on a daily basis. We can't find money to feed our children, but we have money to get ready to plant trees. There's something sick with us. And speaking of another matter, and this morning I'm just doing a recall, because it looks like in Ghana, once a matter comes up, and I said it, Professor Kobe Mensah said it, that we are more interested in people's private scandals and issues than we are interested in the national issues. That's the kind of people we have become. That's why we are where we are. When you speak about it and you ask questions, they say you are insulting. You're insulting who? Over the weekend and throughout last week, when you remember, we wrote to Al Jazeera to ask Al Jazeera about the letter that was written from the presidency demanding a retraction and apology and giving them 7 days. We wrote and we asked specific questions. Al Jazeera fired back and said they have given the response to our presidency and that they have corrected some portions of the letter they wrote, and they have clarified certain points. Now, I said last week that our presidency is behaving like that student who goes to school, sits for an exams, because they failed. When they come home and everybody's talking about their results, they don't talk about theirs. They said they have responded. Now, it is the duty of the presidency to tell us Ghanaians what was in the response, because when they wrote that letter to Al Jazeera, it was widely circulated. So what was in the response in terms of the correction and clarification of various points? We need to know. We need to have a meet the press, because you see, all these questions that I ask here would not have happened if the president had been meeting the press regularly. The last time he did it was in 2019. The president has not met the press anymore. The last time the president organized a meeting for senior editors in this country was in 2019. 2020 has passed. They blamed it on COVID. 2021, 2022, 2023. That's the last time. 2019, that was when the president met us. He has not met us anymore. Now, I have seen also, relative to this matter, the gold mafia. That's what Al Jazeera called it. The gold mafia. I've seen government communicators say that, they don't know that if it's the official email of Al Jazeera, and that we may be making things up and trying to make the presidency look bad. Please pull up the letter that Al Jazeera wrote to Alistair Matthias, the gentleman who said President Akufo-Addo acted as his lawyer. Now, show me the letterhead so they don't say we also made this up. This is a letter that Al Jazeera wrote to Alistair Matthias. Right? And they wrote to them, he wrote to him, same way they say they wrote to our presidency, and our presidency has admitted that, in fact, Al Jazeera wrote to them before publishing that documentary. This is the Al Jazeera stuff, right? This is their investigative journalism directorate, Al Jazeera Media Network, PO Box 23, blah, 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 Doha, all of that. That's their letterhead. Everything is there. So, and it's addressed to Alistair Matthias, right? PO Box, Dubai, United Arab Emirates is there with his email address in blue. Okay? So we are not making this up. Now, this is for those who say we made it up. And you see, they always major in the minors. We have asked questions. What portions were clarified and corrected? What is contained in that response? The presidency needs to tell us if indeed the presidency respects us as people of Ghana and respects us as the employers of the government. They need to tell us. Now, let's go to the second page. I'll show you Al Jazeera's official email, which we put out first, which others started writing to Al Jazeera also. Because until we wrote, nobody had written. And suddenly, we were losing focus as media, and we were beginning to say, oh, we wrote first, we didn't write. No, that's not the focus. The focus is it true that the president represented Alistair Matthias? Is it true that the president is a beneficiary of a certain $100 million deal? Is it true that there's a gold mafia? Those are the questions. And Al Jazeera said they have responded to all those questions. And in fact, they have been very emphatic when we wrote to them a second time to say that they will not apologize to the presidency. Let's go to the second page, please. There are two letters. They said they will not apologize to the president of the Republic of Ghana because they have not done what the president is alleging in the letter that was widely circulated that they had done. And this is where I expect that we would at least have a press statement, we'll have some fellow Ghanaians, we'll have some address to settle the people's mind. Because when you leave the space in public relations, when you leave the space for the issues to fester, there will be crisis. I'm sorry, but go to the second page, please. When you leave space, right? The misinformation will fester. Go up a bit. So these are the questions that Al Jazeera put to Alistair Matthias, trying to get his own side of the story because it was a secret recording. So they wanted him to know that they had got him. No, go up so that we can get the email address. Now, for those who are saying that we made up the email, go up. The email is there. It says, we thank you. We invite you to let us have your response to the above. Same template was used for our president. Or any comments you wish to provide in writing, please, by the deadline specified above is there. We thank you in advance for your response, which can be sent to the following email address. That's Al Jazeera's email address. So let nobody fool you and say that we made up the email address and we are trying to make the presidency look bad. The presidency already, by its loud silence and by refusing to tell us what portions Al Jazeera corrected and what portions they clarified, are actually giving us an impression of a depraved presidency. And the president rode on the back of the tag incorruptible Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to become president. Now corruption is being smeared on him, and the response that Al Jazeera said they gave, and this that is the email address. That is the email address. So we didn't make this up. So let nobody fool you this morning on any of the media platforms to say that we made it. We didn't make it up. This is Al Jazeera writing. Al Jazeera's investigating unit, Doha, Qatar. That's the signature there. It's an official thing. Now, finally, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng authored a report on Galamsey. He gave the report to the presidency again. The presidency sat on the report. I have chanced upon another information that says the good professor, in an interview with a state broadcaster 2 years after he had given that report to the presidency, very, very thunderous and damaging report, mentioning people in the chief of staff office, the director of operations, ministers of state, members of parliament, key government officials, key party functionaries, right from the national to the lowest level. The report was kept on the shelf. Right? Now, Professor said he didn't leak the report. But after he had had that interview with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation network, the police CID came to his house. And then he gave them a copy of the report. In fact, they make calls and all of that back and forth. So they are investigating the matter. He gave them a copy of the report. How we got it, I won't tell you, because it is not wise for a journalist to disclose his sources. But the key issues in the report, and somebody says, oh, Mr. Gabiotri Darko has sued Mr. Frimpong Boateng, so we should stop talking about the report. He sued for a specific portion of the report where he was mentioned. So the other portions where he was not mentioned, including places where people in the chief of staff office was mentioned, director of operations at the presidency, Lord Comey, was mentioned, and other key people, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, all those people who were mentioned. What happens to that report? What has the government said about that report? I've given you 3 things that the government is supposed to be answering to the people of Ghana. And for you to know that the government is leading from the front and not from the back, not playing catch up, and that the government actually respects the people of Ghana who gave them the power at the polls. So far, the government has shown that they don't respect us. And they will rather talk down at us like the Ashanti regional minister was talking down at the school feeding caterers. The children have still not been fed. The government will talk down at us and try to explain everything with English. This is Galamsey. Next month, we are planning to plant trees. Spend money that we say we don't have. So this morning, if you're a Ghanaian, take the words of Otiku Afisa-Jaba, former minister. He says we must all be angry enough to demand for the answers. So this morning, redirect your fire. Don't bring it on to me. Redirect your fire. Tag the president, tag the vice president, tag the chief of staff, tag them on Twitter, tag them on Facebook. Ask them the question, what is in that Al Jazeera letter? What has the presidency said about the Frimpong Boateng report? And why have the children or the school feeding not been fed? Good morning.
The way you, Papa, you know Papa. Figuratively.